The subject we're going to study tonight I entitled The Cancer Business. And you will see why I named it Cancer Business. Well, first, let's start with some statistic. I don't want to scare you, but this is the reality. According to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, in 2016, which is the latest year for which incidence data are available, 1,658,716 new cases of cancer were reported, and 598,031 people died of cancer in the United States. So basically, over 26% of people who got cancer in the year 2016, the reason why it's so delayed, because this amount of information to collect and put together, it requires some time. So we don't have information for 2018 yet. Or if we have, it's not complete, it's not accurate. So we go by what is complete information. But 2016 is not that far ago. More than 26% of people getting cancer, they die. So how they consider the people who die of cancer? They look at people or the survival rate. They have 1 year, then they have 5 years, they have 8 years and 12 years. So those people who died, who got diagnosed of cancer that year, and they died that year. According to the National Cancer Institute, in 2018, an estimated 1,735,000 over new cases of cancer will be diagnosed in the United States, and 609,000 plus people will die from the disease. The number of new cases of cancer is approximately 439 people out of 100,000 men and women per year. It's a kind of estimating based on statistics from 2011 to 2015. So that's an average. So what's the population in Roanoke? Who knows? Okay, let's say 100,000 people in Roanoke. So 440 will gets cancer per year. Approximately 38% of people will be diagnosed with cancer at some point during their lifetime. That's based on the statistic 2013 to 2015. So 38% of people living in the United States diagnosed with various type of cancer in different type of stage. Definitely if it's diagnosed earlier, then it's treatable and people survive. The survival rate is very high. But if we look to the World Health Organization statistic, what is the most cancer, what people die from, is female breast cancer. Then the next is prostate cancer, lung and bronch, then colon and rectum, and then uterus, and then other type of cancers. So basically the breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon and lung cancer is the number one problem of all the cancers, type of cancers. Most common types of cancers are carcinomas. You know that our body has a lot of organs, but all of those organs are covered with a certain type of cells inside. All our blood vessels, all our internal, inside of all the empty organs, they have these epithelial cells. And when they get malignant, they turn into cancer cells. This is the number one cancer what hurts people. Sarcomas formed in bone and soft tissues, including blood vessels, fat, muscles, lymph nodules and vessels, and fiber tissues. Leukemia. Cancer begins in the blood-forming tissues. and lymphoma. This is not all type of cancers. There are way more, but this is the most common. And the number one type of cancer is carcinomas. What is interesting, that usually this type of cells are always well oxygenated through the very dense net of blood vessels. It's not type of tissues which are poor in blood circulation or the body has hard access to them, like immune system, for example. These type of cells, they are easily accessed by immune system through the well-developed blood vessel system. The question, why it's number one cancer? We'll talk about that. What is actually cancer? You know that our body has various type of cells in different tissues, and they correspond and they have different functionality. All those cells, they have longer or shorter a life cycle. And those cells, they are born, in a sense, they live their life cycle, and then they die, and the immune system gets rid of them. They put them apart, and they disappear. What happens? That something, we'll talk later what that something, triggers that these cells don't die. In other words, their life cycle is perverted. And instead of dying and giving space for younger cells, the older cells, they don't die, while younger cells uncontrollably divide. And they divide and divide and divide. So one cell divides into two. Two divides into four. Four divides, and so on. So, and it's a constant progression. And this is how the cancer is developed. So if you see in these pictures, normal cells and cells forming a tumor. So first of all, they are different in structure. The question appears, if they're different in structure, how come the body doesn't recognize them as something different that has to be eliminated? How the immune system, they don't kill these mutated cells. They actually do. So in our body, since our birth, cells die and divide. New cells, they divide in order to replace the cells which ended their life cycle. That is under control. So daily in our bodies, thousands of cancerous cells appears, but they are destroyed by the immune system. Now the question comes here, what happens that they get from the control of the immune system and they start dividing uncontrollably? Let me read you a couple statements from various scientific articles. Dr. Balachandran and his colleagues looked at patients whose pancreatic tumor were surgically removed. Basically, this article was, why do some people beat the odds against pancreatic cancer? We all know that pancreatic cancer is one of those very dangerous cancer which is very hard to treat, and the survival rate is very low. It's actually 7%. Those people who survived, and they compared the pancreas of those who survived with the pancreas of those who did not. Compared with pancreatic tumors from people who had low survival rates, tumors from long-term survivors, average survival of 6 years, had nearly 12 times the number of immune cells called T cells inside them. So what is T cells? They are specializing in recognizing and killing the malignant cells of our body. So they recognize that these cells is not controllable, so it has to be destroyed. So basically this is a danger, a threat for our human body. And the T cells, they destroy them. So basically, we see, they brought this comparison that those people who survive, what killed the cancer is actually their immune system. Our immune system, according to the cancer research in the United Kingdom, our immune system does attack cancer cells, says Professor Tim Elliott, a cancer research UK-funded immunologist from the University of Southampton. In the very early stages of cancer, our immune cells do a good job of killing individual cancer cells as they arise. This is known as the eliminating phase, where immune cells are in control of the tumor and calmly carry out their work. So basically, the scientist, he is not only dealing with the cancer, but he is also immunologist, this doctor. And he says the immune system is number one who prevents us to get cancer. The immune system is critical in fighting cancer, says Stephen Lynch, a doctor from primary care and intake physician at our hospital near Phoenix. We have an immune system that is designed to recognize native and not native cells that can harm us. The problem is it doesn't always work. Other times it works against us. Like leukemia, for example. Leukemia is the cancer of immune system. So what causes the immune system to break? It should kill the cancer cells. Why doesn't it? Before we answer this question, billions of dollars are invested today in studying how to find the best cure for cancer. Population of the United States, and not only United States, but worldwide, in developed countries, they are forcing these people who spend thousands of hours in labs doing these very painstaking, very detailed researches in finding the proper cure for cancer. And they spend already years for looking for proper cure. But to compare, they're actually looking to invent a miracle pill. As something that you have a cancer and you take it and the cancer disappears. Basically, to understand you, to give you a proper illustration, people who have problem with obesity, they want to eat everything they ate before, taking one pill and the weight goes away. They are dreaming of such a miracle. And people want that taking one pill, I eat what I want, I drink what I want, in quantity I want, and I don't exercise, and I drink that bunch of pills, and that should help me. That doesn't work that way. I remember reading that one funny illustration that when it was promoted that the green tea helps to lose weight. And somebody commented, yes, sure, I guarantee the green leaf tea will help you to lose weight, only if you will go climbing the hills collecting it. Something the same scenario comes to play here dealing with cancer. Sadly, but the scientists, they're going into the right direction, having wrong concept. Finally, lately, now they came to their investing money, finally, as they started to invest money in a proper direction. They started to investigate how to help immune system to fight cancer. Because before, the most popular treatment was what? Chemotherapy. You go to the doctor, cancer, chemotherapy. Finally, they came to conclusion, the scientists, and they're slowly coming to this conclusion that chemotherapy is not the solution. reviving the immune system is the solution. But the problem is, let me read for Canadian Cancer Center from their website. Certain drugs can help the immune system fight cancer. Treatment using these drugs is called immunotherapy. Immunotherapy works by boosting the body's immune response or helping the immune system to recognize and fight cancer. This is the latest research they are targeting, to find pills which will boost immune system to fight cancer. Basically put immune system to work to do its job properly and find those cells malignant and kill them. But pay attention, they are looking for drugs which can help the immune system. Research suggests that an immunotherapy drug that targets tumor-associated macrophages, it's a kind of cells of the immune system, and other innate cells may stimulate the immune system to attack tumors. Doctors at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute are researching a compound called TMP-195 that is designed to reactivate these tumor-associated macrophages to attack cancer cells. So basically, the scientists looking for superficial stimulant for immune system. So finally, after years of research and billions invested, they came to the point that not chemotherapy, but the system built into our body by our Creator is capable of dealing with cancer. When people get cancer, it's a fact that the immune system failed to do their job. Now they are looking for something, for a drug, to give such a stimulus to the immune system, to reactivate, reboost it, to find those cells and be able to kill them, the cancerous cells. From the cancer research, certain cancer treatments can temporarily weaken the immune system. The scientists came to conclusion, this is because they can cause a drop in the number of white blood cells. Cancer treatments that are more likely to weaken the immune system are chemotherapy, targeted cancer drugs, radiotherapy, high dose of steroids. So scientists finally came to conclusion that the most popular treatment for cancer advised by popular doctors is chemotherapy, is actually number one, which weakens the immune system. The very immune system which should be able to find and kill the cancerous malignant cells, instead of helping immune system, chemotherapy even weakens it even more. Don't get me wrong, there are cases that chemotherapy is needed. It's based on type of cancer. I'm speaking in general. Cancer rarely comes suddenly, Monday. It knocks at your door. It doesn't happen that way. Cancer is a process that appears in our body, as we discussed before, every day. But our immune system is handling that and keeping that under control. So let's use some logic. If God forbid, we get those malignant cells, cancer, it's a sign that immune system failed to do its job. Now let's go one step behind. What made the immune system to fail? I mean, it doesn't happen something just overnight. Something triggered that failure. Something was a main cause of that problem. According to World Health Organization, Tobacco use, alcohol use, unhealthy diet, and physical inactivity are major cancer risk factors worldwide and are also the 4 shared risk factors for other non-communicable diseases. Okay, I'm not going to talk about tobacco today and alcohol. That's a different lecture. Unhealthy diet. We had several lectures on that, of those who were present before. And physical inactivity. I just heard you talking to your friend that there was a sitting.
Yes, honest. I went to, we go to lunch and learn programs, and one of them was about this disease which nobody had ever heard of. And they said it is a real disease, and it's called the sitting disease.
Sitting disease, thank you.
It's because people get up in the morning, young people, I'm not talking about old people that can't walk, but it affects them too, but even young people get up in the morning, get dressed, and get in their cars. Some have to commute maybe 40 minutes to an hour, depending, so they're sitting in their car. They get to work and they sit at their desk in front of a computer all day long. Then at 5 o'clock, back in the car, and then when they get home,
they sit on the couch.
Sit down to eat, and then after that, they sit either at a computer or play, and it affects your whole body, and that's what they're talking about.
Well, you see, worldwide, World Health Organization, they pointed, after years of research, they came to final conclusion. What makes our immune system to fail to fight malignant cancer cells? Tobacco use, alcohol use, unhealthy diet, and lack of physical activities. This is the number 1, 4 types of risks, 4 types of problems. So main reason for our immune system failure is unhealthy diet, lack of exercise, and pesticides, preservatives, and other safe chemicals. You see, unhealthy diet, if we talk about diet, some people eat pretty healthy food. So they eat salad every day, they eat a lot of fruits, but they overeat. This is our problem, overeating, eating too much, even of a healthy food. Then, second point, eating too much of meat and those kind of products. Too much of proteins. The whole world, don't think that it's only America, the whole world. I'm coming from Europe, and I graduated as a medical doctor in Europe. And I was taught the very same myth in the medical university, that we need proteins, proteins, proteins. But the researchers show that we need only limited amount of proteins. An extra amount of proteins causes problems for our health. They weaken the immune system because extra amount of proteins, it's kind of like abusing our digestive system. And of course, pesticides, preservatives. I know it's expensive, and not everyone can afford to buy the best food, or we buy what we can afford. But unfortunately, the cheaper the food, the more if it's not organic, it has more chemicals used to when it was growing them, and even organic food is getting spoiled today.
We went to another lecture, and he was an organic gardener. He was teaching how to grow your vegetables organically. And he said there are organic pesticides, but he said even those used with caution. He said pesticide means kill. And he said even if it's an organic pesticide, it's still designed to kill.
Yes, so the best pesticide is pulling weeds by hand and using natural treatment for protecting the growth of those vegetables. You see, the problem we are facing today is that everything works against our immune system. The food available for masses of people is the lowest quality food. If you take McDonald's, if you take other places, you know, what people eat usually, you know, when they go from office to eat their lunch, the things they buy and eat, it's not the best food. Yeah, I would say even maybe the worst food they choose for their lunch. And the second point, overeating. This is a serious problem in US, overeating. Too much of sugar, obesity. We're not talking today obesity and the other side, you know, heart diseases and atherosclerosis and high blood pressure. That's another problems we discussed in previous lecture, and we'll talk later again in other lectures. Today I'm talking about cancer, the things which weaken our immune system. And then we come to the point that abusing our body and immune system one day says, sorry, I cannot anymore. And then these cells, they get malignant, they get off control, uncontrolled, and the tumor starts to grow. Pure air and water, cleanliness, a proper diet, purity of life, and a firm trust in God are remedies for the want of which thousands are dying. Yet these remedies are going out of date because their skillful use requires work that the people do not appreciate. Pay attention to this. These remedies, what we were talking, healthy diet, exercise, fresh air, sunshine, trust in God, they are not popular today. It's not that promoted, you know, heavily promoted by health organization, because it requires work. In order to control my diet, I have to overcome my appetite. In order to do an exercise, I have to overcome my laziness, wake up, go outside, and take a walk. This was written in 1885. The best treatment is always prevention. And it's easy to draw conclusion. How can we prevent cancer? Understand me correctly. Understand me correctly. Every one of us, me and you, we are going to die. We are not eternal. The problem is how we are going to die. Suffering or in peace. I'm talking about quality of life. There is no remedy to live forever. But the problem in the United States today, that the cancer is getting younger and younger and younger. In other words, not cancer getting younger, but if before only very senior people were suffering of these diseases, now people after 40 are now suffering of these diseases. And after 30. Yeah, there are cases that children suffer those diseases, but that's a rare cases, and that is a more serious problem, not that that they were eating really wrong diet. They probably got some predisposition in their genes, and there are some defects. They were born in their immune system with those defects that, you know, like 6 years kid or 1 year old kid, and they get cancer. That is not normal. But when a man after 40 or a woman after 35 gets cancer, that's not normal. Why? Because the diet is getting worse and worse and worse. And instead of investing billions of dollars for looking for miracle pill, why wouldn't they fix the diet in our schools, for example? Well, I'm not going to talk, that's not my business, but I'm just saying that doing research is in the right direction. But people, the society, forces the scientists to research in this direction. Because they are begging for that miracle pill. You know, I want to eat what I ate before. I want to drink what I drank before. Just give me a pill, get well. It doesn't work that way. You want to live healthy? You have to overcome laziness. You have to overcome your appetite. You need to employ your internal powers and do something about it. Strongly recommended in preventing cancer. Yearly health checkup. As the older you get, you have to every year make those appointments and diagnose yourself. Do those preventive measures. Because the sooner you find it, the more chances that you will be that in survival rate, that you can fight that cancer. Do not overeat. This is a number one immune system killer, overeating. Even healthy products, if you overeat, this is heavily abuses the immune system. Eat more raw and wholesome foods. Exercise in the fresh air. These things, number one is checking, doing, yearly checkout, that nothing is wrong. The other 3 points, they help to keep immune system active and working properly. If to compare immune system to the fire department, they are ready. They are on guard. I don't know if you've seen a fire department. They have their shoes and their costumes, just ready. So when they hear the alarm, they just physically jump in those shoes and tied up, and they jump in the car, and they're ready to go. That's how immune system responds when a cancer cells appears. There are immune cells which go like a police and check the ID of every cell. Mine, stranger. Alarm. The T cells come and they kill it. Either the bacteria or it's a malignant cell of our own body. The question is, why this fire department doesn't function? The whole city can burn. Unless fire department gets an alarm, they don't go, they don't move. There's no alarm. So you see, when we abuse our immune system, people may get cancer, yet they don't get a cold. The immune system is still working against cold or seasonal flu or something like that. They got cuts, they got scars, or something. They cut with a knife, or they can step on a nail. They don't get infection which would kill them while they have cancer. So you see, immune system is still kind of working, but it's blind to cancer cells. Why? That's what I said. Abusing of immune system makes it to become blind to the problems appearing in our body. It's ready to fight, but they don't know there is a problem. Therefore, it's very important that we do these checkups. We do the screening, and we make sure that we don't have a problem. And if we have a problem, that's an alarm. So we know what to do. We have to boost immune system. We have to combine what the doctors prescribes with their natural remedies, which the natural remedies is actually designed by Creator to help our immune system. This is the real boost for our immune system. Healthy diet, exercise, and various detox programs, which eliminates the toxins from our body, and that is actually helping our immune system. And if you go to any natural treatment clinics, they start from the very basic cleansing, detox program. That's the number one cancer treatment, detox program, and correcting diet, going mostly on raw. And there are thousands of people out there who survived cancer, and they can share their experiences. And all of them, most of them who survived, their experience is that they changed their diet. So as a conclusion, we recommend an unpopular but promising path. Eat healthy and exercise. Do not overeat. This is the best prevention for cancer. Well, if somebody has cancer or of your relatives, that's a different story. You know, there are different types of cancer. I'm not dealing today in my lecture with particular cases. This is just a general information for you to be aware and to know, and how immune system can help us in preventing cancer. Your questions? Don't have any questions? Okay.
Is there anything we can do about the pesticides or whatever? I mean, I see commercials on TV. It said that Roundup killer caused a lot of cancers, and I mean, how do we protect ourselves against things like those?
Well, the best is to have your own garden. This is 100% the best.
Yeah, that's what we do.
And if you buy, try to stick to the seasonal fruits and vegetables. And because in a season, for example, when a season comes for apples, like fall, you know that those apples were grown this year. When you buy an apple in May, you know that apple was preserved somehow. How? A lot of chemicals were used to preserve that apple. About a couple years ago, I was reading a research done in Great Britain, actually around London. There was how they started this research. Usually what they used for, there's thousands of people there in London of a very poor population. So they have no money to be buried like more, I wouldn't say wealthy people, but financially more stable people. So they are buried in a very low-cost cemeteries, and they have like a cycle. They used to have that for cycle, like 30 years. In 30 years, nothing remains there, and then they reuse that cemetery. What they discovered, that 30 years lately is not enough. And they started to look for a reason. How come in 30 years it doesn't decompose? And they found out that fruits and vegetables, in order to be preserved, they use chemicals which preserve them from spoiling. When we eat that chemical infiltrates our body throughout. So even when we end our life, we do not decompose. So, and that's how they came to the scary conclusion that these vegetables and fruits sold on the market, they beautifully look. It's sitting for a month and nothing happens to that apple. Take an apple from a tree. Put 10 apples from the tree and 10 apples from the store. Apples from the tree, in a couple of days, they start to spoil one by one. We buy apples from Iconberry, and we buy them by bags. They call horse apples. So they are cheap, they are a lot, so we buy them. You know, my wife makes cakes and pies, and we eat. We like apple. We make compote out of it. Those apples, if you leave them, they get spoiled one by one, one by one. In 1 month, they all get spoiled. If you get apples from Walmart, they will sit, they will wrinkle, they will dry out, but they won't spoil.
You're exactly right about that. We have a peach tree in our yard, and the peaches ripened, but they were still a little hot, and we had picked them, and I was going to do something with them, and I looked in like 2 days, and they were already starting to spoil. I said, oh, I better use them up. You're right.
Yeah, so
nothing was put on them, no spray at all.
This is why it's recommended to eat fruits when it's seasoned. When it's seasoned for strawberries, then you know it's strawberries from the market. But when it's out of season strawberries, how they look so fresh? Well, you see, there are things we cannot control. We have to buy some foods. We have to eat. Unfortunately, there are parts of this system which beyond our control. Yet what we can control is to eat more, to wash them well, and to eat more raw food. I see your hand. And to eat more raw food and wholesome. And do not overeat. This is the biggest problem for immune system is overeating. Sometimes people who eat only noodles and pasta and very little fresh vegetables and fruits, they can have better quality immune system than those who eat wholesome bread but overeat. I'm not saying this is the case, but overeating is #1 abuser for immune system. And excessive proteins, and things, not actually proteins, because like beans, they are way richer in proteins than meat. Some of the meats are way poorer in proteins than soy products. I'm talking the food which is hard to digest, which is hard cheeses, aged cheeses, and meat. Those things are very dangerous for our immune system. Cheeses and meat. And overeating. Yes, I saw your hand.
Is there something that is desirable that we can use in cleaning our produce? Some people soak their produce in a solution of vinegar, the one with the mother, the apple cider vinegar. Some people say to use baking soda. What would you say to them?
I cannot give you exact recommendation. I heard about vinegar, and I think that works. But the best option is very hot water, to wash those apples under very hot water. Because if they have that wax, what they cover the fruits to protect, and you can feel the apple. If you take the fresh apple from the tree or from the market, it's not glossy, it's matte. When you see an apple glossy, you know it was sprinkled with something, what make it that shiny glossy. That's wax to protect from spoiling.
That, for example, is cucumbers. They have a waxy skin. We grew cucumbers in our garden, and the skin didn't look anything like the skin.
Oh yeah, I know. The same with grape. If you take grape from Walmart and you smell it, you can even smell that chemical what is used to preserve. You don't smell grape, you smell that chemical. This is why when we wash grape, we always take every piece apart, put it in the hot water and kind of do like this, so to wash it well. That's how we wash grape. We never just wash grape like this and eat. So we take every little berry apart and then we wash it.
In hot water.
In hot water. I mean, unfortunately, this is inconvenience, but that's what we have to do. Any other questions? If not, I thank you very much for your attention.